Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Ahmed Mohina, and I am the Senior Undersecretary at the Ministry of Electricity and Renewable Energy in Egypt. The President invited me to preside over the Assembly deliberation for this segment. Today, we resume our deliberation of Item 5, Annual Report of the Director General on the implementation of the work program and budget for 2020-2021, and Item 6, Proposed Work Program Budget for 2022-2023. I would like to continue with the member interventions under these items. There are 26 delegations requesting to make intervention this afternoon. I will give the floor to delegations in order to, in the order of the speakers list provided by the Secretariat. Kindly be reminded that interventions are limited to 3 minutes, please. And now I will give the floor to Bahrain, to His Excellency Mr. Andul Hussein Ali Mirza, President at the Sustainable Energy Authority. Floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. To start with, I would like to add my thanks to the Chairman, Mr. Ahmed Mohina, and also to the Director General of IRENA, Mr. Francisco La Camera, for organizing this 12th General Assembly despite the COVID-19 difficult circumstances. Since the last Assembly in January 2021, the Kingdom of Bahrain has made significant progress towards the achievements of the national renewable energy and energy efficiency targets. More recently, and following the COP26, which took place in Glasgow in November 2021, Bahrain has joined the global community in committing to net zero carbon emissions. As His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister of Kingdom of Bahrain, announced in his address during the conference that the government of Bahrain has endorsed the national target to achieve net zero emissions by the year 2060. An announcement we particularly take pride in at the Sustainable Energy Authority in Bahrain, as we played pivotal role in the progress in the shift towards renewable energy resources and technologies, with the collaboration of the public and private sectors and with the support of the political leadership of the Kingdom of Bahrain. The announced ambitious zero carbon target for the Kingdom of Bahrain is set to be achieved through a number of interim targets and initiatives, which include the following: 1, reduction of 30% emissions by 2035. 2, quadruple mangrove plantations and double tree plantations by 2035. And 3, Bahrain to double its target for renewables by 2035. Our new target now is to achieve 20% by the year 2035, equating to 1.4 gigawatt or 1,420 megawatt of clean energy. Today, and from this forum, we are proud to report that Bahrain has recorded and approved projects exceeding the national target for the year 2025 of 250 megawatts. Whereas the achieved progress in the national energy efficiency target is more than 90% of the set target for the year 2025. We have also endorsed and implemented several key policy frameworks and tools to enable further achievements in the sector, namely the Renewable Energy Certificate policies and the National Electric Vehicle Strategy. Currently, we are working on offshore wind projects, floating solar, waste heat recovery, as well as green hydrogen and biofuels. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Bahrain. And now I will give the floor to the Russian Federation, Mr. Peter Popilov, Deputy Minister of Energy. Please.
Dear colleagues, dear secretariats, we ask you to postpone our speech for 10 minutes. We will be able to speak in 10 minutes. We do apologize for this delay.
Yes.
Да, уважаемые коллеги, спасибо. Мы просим предоставить нам слово.
Thank you. We would be grateful if we could speak later in 10 minutes from now. We will be ready to speak in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Mr. Molina, the Russian Federation has asked to be moved for 10 more minutes, so we will provide the next speaker. Thank you.
Yes. We are waiting for the Russian Federation to solve the problem, and now we will move to the next country, Fiji. Honorable Minister John Osamat, Minister of Infrastructure and Meteorological Services. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. President, Honorable Ministers, Director General, distinguished delegates, Nisambolo Vinaka, and a good evening from Fiji. At the outset, I'd like to thank IRENA for hosting this tough assembly meeting, even though a lot has been disrupted by the COVID pandemic. And we were looking to attend the meeting physically after a lapse of 2 years. However, the pandemic has meant otherwise. And I take this opportunity to give my hearty condolences to all families who have lost their loved ones during the first phase and second phase of COVID. Here in Fiji, we are going through the third wave of the pandemic. However, we've proven and shown that the first and second wave, we've been able to address them through our consolidated and collaborative effort to fight the global pandemic together. I'd like to thank the Director General, Mr. Francesco La Camera, for his perseverance, his dedication, and outstanding leadership in continuing the good work at IRENA has done. And I'd like to commend him also in the presentation of the annual report, the implementation of the work program and budget for 2021 and 2022. The program has shown the cohesiveness, which includes the core resource requirements and the contributions from the sub-programs. I take this opportunity also to express Fiji's sincere appreciation to member states and development partners that have immensely contributed through their voluntary contributions to IRENA. It can be noted that IRENA has gained strength over the years and has formed strong partnerships with member countries, with development partners, and also with multilateral organizations. While going through the report, I was glad to see how IRENA has explored the new ways of advancing programmatic activities and continued engagements with its members during these very challenging times. The annual report has indicated an increase in the investment of projects and jobs in the renewable energy portfolios in 2021. The report shows various ways of bridging the gaps, such as by significantly increasing, scaling up renewable energy while maximizing social economic benefits. The Assembly meeting provides an opportunity for all of us to come together to do what we can to help accelerate the actions to implement the national determined contributions and to strengthen climate resilience. Earlier this week, we in Fiji have experienced a Category 1 tropical cyclone which has brought heavy rain and flooding to most parts of our country. Our immediate challenge now is to implement these global initiatives in a synchronized and collaborative manner through the mandate and support of this organization. It is important to ensure that all member countries, especially for us SIDS, that we are equipped with the necessary tools, with the financial and technical support to leapfrog towards achieving our renewable energy target and contribute towards keeping the global temperature below 1.5 degrees by the year 2030. During the COP26 meeting in November 2021 in Glasgow, Scotland, Fiji, together with the SIDS, through the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, have again voiced our concern with the developed countries and the heavy carbon emitters on the urgency to take decisive and concrete actions to reduce their carbon emissions. However, it is rather unfortunate that our plea is falling on deaf ears. These countries are more self-concentrated and fail to recognize the cry and the vulnerability of SIDS. We will not rest here. We will continue to fight for the good of our country and our future generations. To conclude, I would like to emphasize and highlight the message from the Director General that this Assembly and related meetings will gather global leaders and energy decision makers to address concrete steps to shift the energy transition to the next level in the coming decade and accelerate actions at the speed necessitated by climate, energy, and development imperatives. With those few words, I once again thank you for all your attention and wish that we have a successful and fruitful meeting for the rest of this Assembly. We look forward to the worthwhile deliberations. Nawalebu, Sukriyan, and I thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Fiji. And now we will move to the next speakers, Ghana. Honorable Ministers, Honorable Muhammad Adam Amin, Deputy Minister of Energy. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I bring you felicitations from the Honorable Minister of Energy of Ghana, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Excellency, Ms. Alexandra Hill Tinoco, Minister of Foreign Affairs of El Salvador and President of the 12th IRENA Assembly. Mr. Francisco Nakamara, Director General, IRENA. Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen. As leader of Ghana's delegation to the 12th session of the General Assembly of the International Renewable Energy Agency Assembly, I am honored to make an intervention on behalf of the people of the Republic of Ghana. On behalf of the government and people of the Republic of Ghana, I wish to commend the immediate past president of the 11th Assembly, Her Excellency Ms. Teresa Ribera, Deputy Prime Minister of Spain. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I also want to commend heads of states and or their duly representatives of the IRENA member states for accepting the decision to attend the 12th Assembly virtually. Excellencies, distinguished guests, climate change and COVID-19 are two major challenges we are grappling with today, and their impacts on the geopolitics, our economies, and energy landscapes require some structural changes to bring our development back on a sustainable track. As we continue to pledge and make commitments to the fight against the changing global climate and COVID-19, we need also to analyze carefully how these two global issues interplay in order to develop and promote self-reliant, smart policies and strategies for our collective development. Excellencies, distinguished guests, at the 2021 World Leaders Summit and COP26 in Glasgow, Ghana under the leadership of President Nana Akufo-Addo, underscored the importance to strike a balance between economic development and protection of the environment for the sustainable development of Africa and Ghana for that matter. We advocated for the development and efficient use of all our energy resources for the transformation of our economies. It's for this reason I wish to reiterate our position that it would be wholly unfair for the world to demand that Africa abandons the exploitation of these same resources needed to finance her development and help us to cope better with the threats of climate change at a time when many countries on the continent have only just discovered them. Ladies and gentlemen, it will be at our own peril to ignore the development of our indigenous hydrocarbon energy resources when these assets hold the prospects to ending energy poverty and promoting our respective countries into a new era of industrialization with its accompanying economic transformations. I wish to commend highly the African Development Bank for taking the lead through its renewed policy focus to direct funding for the 5 thematic and critical social and economic areas, including energy. We need to support the bank to consolidate its position as the dominant development bank for the continent. Excellencies, distinguished guests, Ghana is already on the path to net zero energy transition. We are building an environmentally friendly, energy resilient economy driven by low carbon energy technologies and self-reliant capabilities. We have taken the bold policy initiative to convert over 95% of thermal power plants in operation in Ghana from liquid fuels to gas-fueled plants. We have also developed a comprehensive renewable energy master plan aimed at achieving 10% renewable energy in our energy mix by 2030. And we have revised our nationally determined contribution targets, which were approved at the COP26. Government has also inaugurated a national energy transition team tasked to develop and coordinate the implementation of a long-term energy transition plan that will spur transformation of the structures of our economy. We remain committed to this cause and will continue to contribute our efforts to reduce the global temperature rise to the ultimate 1.5 degrees Celsius beyond 2050. We therefore call on member states, through the support of IRENA and our well-meaning development partners, to work hand in hand to ensure that we attain the global energy transition goals by 2050. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President and colleagues, for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Ghana. And now the next speakers from Tuvalu. His Excellency, the Ambassador Anis Semati, Embassy of Tuvalu. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity and for your excellent leadership of our proceedings. Tuvalu congratulates Madam President Minister, Mrs. Alexandra Hiltimodo of El Salvador on her election as president, and the 4 vice presidents of our 12th session, and also our appreciation to the departing president and team. Our sincere commendations also to the Director General Francesco La Camera and IRENA for the ongoing facilitations and project execution work. Mr. Vice Chairman, currently renewable energy opportunities in Tuvalu have been strategically focused on solar and in the outer islands of Tuvalu that has enabled recent electricity to support the economic and social needs and pursuits of the communities. However, we are trying to replace the battery banks and panels due to high maintenance, due to corrosive iron and island environment. We have discussed these issues with IRENA when our Prime Minister visited IRENA at the end of last year. On the capital of Funafuti, 2 large renewable projects funded by the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank will see the installation of solar PV and battery storage capacity. With this investment, it is assessed that Tuvalu will generate more than 50% of its electricity through renewable sources. Our ambition, of course, being to reach 65% or more in 2025. Diversification plans for small wind turbines on Funafuti and also being discussed, and biofuel have also been pursued, but we need more technical guidance. Energy efficiencies, also goal, the World Bank undertaking a feasibility study on solar rooftops will include the prepaid and net billing platforms for private households and government institutions. These interventions will allow customers to control and sustainably manage their energy consumption. These projects will reduce greenhouse gas emissions from electricity by 39%, benchmark to 2015 levels. Our greenhouse gas emissions, of course, are less than 0.0000.5. But it is our will to contribute to the global effort in curbing emissions and rising in temperature. We appreciate the collaborations of various energy and transitional investment, UAE, IRENA, of course, European Union, Italy, New Zealand, Japan, and the World Bank and ADB. To date, around 20% of Tuvalu's NDC mitigation target have been achieved. UAE's collaboration with Tuvalu led to solar energy project that power over 800 homes. This has enabled stability to the grid during power surges, saving 260,000 liters diesel and 508,000 carbon dioxide emissions. We appreciate IRENA's assistance and excellent strides in SID's Lighthouse facility. We look forward to the rollout of IRENA's climate investment platform and support to our rooftop. We will continue to depend on the IRENA's vast data and analytical work and advance our energy transition. We appreciate the technical support facilitated through our regional organizations and our traditional donors. I thank you, Mr. Chairman. Shukran, Pavetai, Tuvalu Moteatu.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Tuvalu. And now we will move to the next speakers from Kenya, His Excellency, Mr. Kariuki Mugwi, Permanent Representative to IRENA and Ambassador of Kenya at the United Arab Emirates. Please, Excellency, the floor is yours. Excuse me, Excellency, you are muted. Still, you are muted, Excellency.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello? You
Yes.
can hear me?
Go ahead, please. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The President of the 12th IRENA Assembly, the Director General of IRENA, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Kenya. Since this is my first time addressing the Assembly, allow me to congratulate El Salvador on assuming the presidency of the 12th IRENA Assembly and the election of the 4 vice presidents. We also appreciate the IRENA Secretariat and the host country, UAE, for convening the 12th Assembly under the current unique circumstances of COVID-19 pandemic. I also wish to congratulate the Director General for the elaborate presentation of the annual report on the implementation of the work program and budget, and for the biennial period 2020-2021, and proposed work program and budget for 2022-2023. Kenya is a council member and co-chair for the IRENA working team on MTS, pledge our total commitment and support to the Director General. Kenya has made significant strides in realizing the objective of the SDG 7 of ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, particularly electricity access, which has grown from 29% in 2013 to 75% in 2021. Despite the remarkable acceleration of electricity access, the use of biomass has continued to be the predominant source of energy for majority of Kenyans, amounting to 68% of primary energy supply. Currently, cooking in Kenya is dominated by firewood, which contributes 65%, LPG about 18.5%, charcoal and kerosene contributing about 15%. As primary fuels, with more than half of households using multiple fuels and technologies for cooking. Access to modern and clean cooking solutions thus remain low at 30%. Several energy strategies have been formulated to guide the implementation of the national energy policy, namely national electrification, bioenergy and energy efficiency, and conservation strategies, including green hydrogen targeting transport and industrial sectors. These strategies provide the national roadmap for universal access to modern energy services and thus close to the energy access gap. We have subsequently prepared respective strategy implementation action plans to guide the last mile interventions. We look forward to benefit from collaboration with IRENA, other member states, and partners who have significant progress to learn from the best. Kenya, like other developing nations, deserves attention without leaving anyone behind. The government of Kenya has made a commitment to reach universal electrification coverage by 2026 and has made significant strides towards this goal through the last mile connectivity plan. The last mile initiative continues to proceed at a remarkable pace, and the grid expansion and mid-grid expansion programs have been programmed for implementation. The government affirms clean cooking as an important priority component of its development agenda. In light of this information, and in recognition of the existing global and local commitments such as SDGs, SE for All, and NDC, the GUK commits to accelerate actions in clean cooking. In the context of the outcomes of the high-level dialogue on energy, Kenya believes that energy compacts are a key vehicle to translate the global roadmap into concrete actions and partnerships. On her part, Kenya submitted a clean cooking energy compact at the high-level dialogue on energy, detailing the strategic national interventions to accelerate access to modern and clean cooking solutions. We are therefore seeking collaborations, partnerships, and investments to enable us realize the cooking aspirations. As part of the energy transition, Kenya considers herself as one of the countries with the high mix of renewable energy. Achieving the best combination is vital for decarbonization of the various sectors in the immediate, medium, and long term to realize safe, reliable, and sustainable energy, with resultant job creation and improved livelihood and economic growth. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, Kenya. Now, the next speaker is Denmark. His Excellency Thomas Anker Christensen, Climate Ambassador at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Excellency, colleagues, Director General, friends. Congratulations to El Salvador for assuming the presidency and for Egypt to preside over this session. We look forward to working with both of you to ensure COP26 in the year to come. We would also like to thank IRENA for its valuable work supporting the green energy transition worldwide. The near global membership base of IRENA proves that the organization has successfully established itself as a trusted partner for analysis, sharing of knowledge and best practice at country and regional level, and also with regard to the geopolitical implications of the energy transition. Denmark has itself the target of reducing emissions by 70% in 2030, and we are well on track to achieving this target, including by a massive build-out of renewable energy. And you also all witnessed the active contribution of the Danish private sector globally, both to renewable energy build-out and decarbonization of difficult sectors like shipping. We have also committed to ramp climate finance 1% of the 100 billion target and to engage in the loss and damage dialogue that the minister from Antigua so eloquently talked about yesterday in the COP26 session. In 2020, we decided to end new licenses and exploration of oil and gas. And in Glasgow, we launched the Beyond Oil and Gas Alliance with Costa Rica, with the aim of aligning oil and gas supply with the Paris Agreement and the pathways for net zero outlined by IRENA, IEA, and UNEP. We invite all countries to join the conversations and the alliance on what might be the most critical issue of our day. Denmark appreciates the close and fruitful cooperation with IRENA. This has particularly been the case in the run-up to and at the high-level dialogue at SDG 7 and at COP26. This includes activities catalog and preparing the Global Offshore Wind Alliance that we will launch later this year. The Glasgow Climate Pact re-established joint global commitment to keep 1.5 degrees alive and recognized that this goal requires a 45% reduction in CO2 emissions by 2030 to reach net zero around mid-century. The implementation of the Glasgow Pact depends on the development of increasingly ambitious NDCs by COP27 for the pre-20 period and beyond 20. To bring down emission energy sector, we must shift away from fossils at speed and increase threefold renewable energy capacity and flexibility of our energy systems. IRENA will be an indispensable partner in this endeavor, including by helping countries to reduce. It is imperative that IRENA is engaged as a trusted partner in this and in helping catalyze the pipelines of investment-grade projects and their financing in developing countries. One of the big challenges facing us in the coming years is to ensure a just and inclusive transition that doesn't leave anyone behind. Denmark sincerely hopes that IRENA will continue to deliver reliable socioeconomic analysis on the job creation potential of increasing renewables. This is central for building the case for energy transition as a key to net zero and climate resilient futures. In closing, I would warmly thank the Director General as well as staff members of IRENA for the dedicated and valuable work. We are looking forward to strengthening our broad-based collaboration in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Denmark. And now the next speaker is the Russian Federation, Mr. Peter Popilov, Deputy Minister of Energy. Please, Excellency, the floor is yours.
Уважаемый господин Лакамера, уважаемые господа министры, участники.
Mr. Lacamera, ministers, participants of the 12th Assembly, IRENA Assembly, on behalf of the Russian Federation, I would like to greet you all. I'm happy to see you all in good health. And though we are obliged to deal with the virtual meeting, and as of 2015, the Russian Federation links its work in this field with IRENA work, and we are an integral part of Paris agreements. And last year, you're well aware of that, the president of our country spoke about carbon neutrality of Russia before 2060. It's an ambitious goal for our country, but it's achievable. And our work and our activities will be linked with the changes in energy mix, and we are going to use more solar, more wind energy, and we pay great attention as well to the nuclear power sector and the energy efficiency and energy savings limitations, restrictions imposed on coal, but our CO2 emissions will decrease drastically, and once again, carbon neutrality by 2060. In 2022, the energy mix in our country will include more than 20% of renewables, and first of all, is going to be hydropower, but also the energy provided by wind and solar renewables. And we are going to reach practically 60% of reduction in emissions. And once again, I'm going to repeat this because I would like to emphasize that our goal is very ambitious, carbon neutrality by 2060. We are in the 4th position in the world on that. So it's a grand project. And I would like to thank all of you, Mr. La Camera, you, the participants of today's meeting. I'm sorry, there are interferences from other speakers. For today's work and for the proposed plans, we read carefully the budget and the proposed work plan for 22-23, and we're satisfied with the current draft, but we would like to ask you as well, and we expect to be heard. We believe that this is our common goal to increase the share of non-carbon energy using hydropower, and we are going to pay very serious attention to this topic, and you can count on us, on our knowledge, on our know-how, our participation. And once again, I would like to greet you from my heart. Thank you so much.
The next speaker is Jordan. His Excellency is the Minister, Saleh Al-Kharabsha, Minister of Energy and the Mineral Resources. Please, the floor is yours, His Excellency.
مساء الخير جميعا. معكم أمين عام وزارة الطاقة والثروة المعدنية في المملكة الأردنية الهاشمية. سألقي هذه الكلمة نيابة عن معالي.
I am speaking on behalf of His Excellency the Minister, the head of the sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the honor, first of all, on behalf of the government of Jordan and on behalf of myself, to thank you all and to thank the government of UAE for her permanent hosting of IRENA's activities. And I want also to thank the presidency of Spain and to congratulate the presidency of Salvador, hoping all the best to you, Mr. President, in the activities, and I want to thank Mr. La Camera of IRENA and the Secretariat and all workers in the IRENA for the permanent and activities. IRENA for the third years is affected by COVID-19, which affects all countries of the world and led to the slowdown of economic and socio-economic activities, including the energy sector. In spite of this, the performance in the world and the Arab region in renewable energies is assuring with the diversification of different resources and initiating big projects and investments and cooperation between the private and public sector. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that the green energy transition is a reality in our livelihood, supported by global trends like by the COP26 decisions in order to intensify the global efforts to use all energy like all renewable energy sources. We know all that this requires the cooperation of all parties to accelerate all levels to have one electric network joining all the world and to distributing the excess of energy to countries which will be serving all countries, and we have to make use of all opportunities provided by international organizations in order to improve the infrastructure and reduce conflicts in the world. We believe that it is the time to begin the production of the green hydrogen as a renewable energy. It is among the most potential sources of energy to reduce carbon CO2 emissions, and we started working on this in order to look for all technical and legislative measures required, and we are working to use all renewable energies to generate electricity and other applications, and we hope by 2030 we would reach 50% of our energy provided by renewable energies. Now we are at 25% of energy generated from RE, and this was only 1% in 2014. For the storage of energy, we finalized the feasibility study in order to launch tenders to use hydroenergy, and we are starting our studies for storage by batteries. Ladies and gentlemen, I want at the end to emphasize the continuous cooperation between us and IRENA, and we hope this would continue between member countries and to intensify the cooperation, different projects in order to have cooperation. And at the end, I want to hope the best for this meeting, and may the blessing of Allah be upon all of you.
Jordan, and now the next speaker is Romania. Mr. George Sergiu, Secretary of State at the Ministry of Energy. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to participate at the 12th session of the International Renewable Energy Agency Assembly. Thank you for the opportunity to briefly present some of the aspects that define Romania's energy profile regarding the renewable energy sector. No doubt, as you well know, renewable energy has a vital role to play in reducing gas emission with greenhouse effect and all forms of pollution. Therefore, measures to encourage energy from renewable sources and improve energy efficiency are essential to reduce Europe's greenhouse gas emissions and respecting the commitment made under the Paris Agreement. We must understand that the future belongs to clean energy. This is no doubt. We need to have less waste at the end and to adopt climate-friendly decisions to let us head to a safer and cleaner energy world. And today we have the chance to influence these decisions and to send a clear message of unity and trust in our common goals. Romania reached in 2020 a target of 24% of total energy consumption from renewable sources. And for 2030, we have set an ambitious target of 30.7% of green energy in the total energy mix by adding 6.9 gigawatts in renewable power capacity. Romania has also good potential in future development of offshore wind energy. A recent World Bank study showed that our country has a theoretical potential to develop around 20 gigawatt of capacities in fixed offshore generators and 50 gigawatt of floating offshore wind generators, in total 70 gigawatt. A good legal and regulatory framework that promotes sustainable energy development and adequate finance sources will ensure that Romania's renewable energy targets, for sure, they will be achieved. At the same time, recent transformation of the energy sector will certainly involve significant volumes of investments across the technology chain, from energy production to smart transmission and distribution networks, or as well as the implementation of a new market model based on clean and flexible energy capacities. Moreover, investments in energy infrastructure are needed to enhance connectivity, and the completion of relevant key interconnectivity projects should remain a priority to ensure the security of supply and the functioning of the energy market. This energy crisis, has shown that Europe needs, first and foremost, energy security and affordable prices, because these two pillars underpin the sustainability in the energy sector in parallel with measures to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. The current situation shows an important fact. The success of the energy transition cannot be based on unilateral approach to renewable energy. Each country needs to maximize the penetration of renewable energy within the context of its own energy transition plan, while taking care of its energy security needs and social impact. The need for investments, again, I say the need for investment is huge throughout the entire cycle in green technologies, in infrastructure, adequate to increase the share of renewable energy in the electricity production for heating and cooling. All of these are key elements in achieving energy and climate goals in the whole architecture of low emission economic growth model. A few words about the nuclear energy in Romania. Nuclear energy has an important role of decarbonization of our energy production sector. In Romania, nuclear energy provides around 20% of domestic production and is primarily a strategic objective to ensure energy security. As you well know, together with the United States of America, our strategic partner, through the recently signed intergovernmental agreement on cooperation related to nuclear power projects, we laid the necessary foundation for cooperation in the new stage of development of the civilian nuclear sector in Romania. And last year at COP26, we have announced a recent agreement signed by the American company NuScale and our company Nuclear Electrica that will deploy the new technology of a small modular reactor. I have briefly attempted to present the current state of the energy field in Romania and the most important strategic energy investment projects. At this time, Romania is a stability pillar and an important contributor to the energy security architecture in the region. There are solutions to overcome the global energy crisis and to take concrete steps towards a low carbon economy. We need to work together and promote cooperation as a basic principle of energy policies and overcoming the energy challenges that we face at a global scale. The energy future, I believe, that depends on the decision that we make today towards a modern and innovative economy that will serve the well-being of our people, but also the health of the environment in which we live. This being said, I want to thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Romania. And now we will move to the European Union. Ms. Dette Joel Jorgensen, Directorate General for Energy at the European Commission. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. Chairman, the European Union's increased target for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and our objective to be climate neutral by 2050 will require a rapid transformation of the energy sector and a scaling up of renewable energy. To achieve these targets, we are currently revising our entire legislative framework. We are updating our rules on renewable energy and energy efficiency. We are reducing methane emissions in the energy sector. We are looking at the energy performance of buildings, a decarbonization of our gas markets, including renewable hydrogen, and we're looking at energy taxation fuels, looking at carbon border adjustment mechanism, and an extension of the European emissions trading system. The increased climate ambition will be reflected in our renewable energy target as well. The European Commission has suggested last year that we will raise our target for 2030 from the current 32% to 40% of the overall energy consumption. This means a doubling of the target compared to 2020, and we will focus in particular on those sectors where progress has been too slow: transport, heating and cooling, and industry where much can be done. We're doing this not only because it's necessary and socially beneficial, because it will strengthen our energy security and our ability to withstand crisis. The European Union and its 27 member states want to inspire others to do the same and share our diverse experience, as you've also heard from several European member states here today. A multilateral dialogue and multilateral institutions are central to this external dimension of the European Green Deal, and IRENA has a crucial role to play in this decade of action. As presented by Director General Mr. La Camera in the annual report, IRENA has shown flexibility in adapting its work and adjusting its thematic priorities to respond efficiently to the COVID crisis. We welcome our renewables in end-use sectors and on energy system integration. This matches well our current legislative work to close the remaining gaps in our legislative framework and anticipate the more integrated energy systems of the future that will be needed for energy efficiency and for an integration of higher levels of renewable energy into the systems. So it's good that these topics are on the agenda and that they will remain important in the next biannual work programme. We also welcome very much the establishment of the thematic collaborative frameworks. They have proven useful to facilitate in-depth discussions between interested members and with other stakeholders is now. The IRENA program for 2022 to 2023 builds on this solid basis, and it includes some key topics such as the role of renewables and net zero strategies, the skills and women representation in the energy sector, critical materials, end of life, and circular economy. It's a pity that important topics such as electrification of energy systems and the geopolitics of hydrogen could not be discussed in this General Assembly given circumstances, but we in the European Union are eager to create opportunities to engage on these issues with IRENA and IRENA members as soon as that is practically possible. I would also like to reaffirm the European Union commitment to continuing to implement joint actions such as the UN Compact on Regional Energy Transition Outlook, and to actively supporting IRENA in remaining a central driving force and convening power for the global energy transformation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, European Union. And now we will move to the next speaker, is Cuba. His Excellency, Mr. Roberto Planco, Ambassador of Cuba to the United Arab Emirates. Please, the floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, excelentísimo señor
Very
Francesco.
much. Your Excellency Francesco La Camera, Director General of IRENA, Your Excellency, President of the Assembly, Mr. Al-Suid, Director General of other entities, and I would like to thank all participants at this session. On behalf of my country and on my own personal behalf, I would like to wish you all the best for 2022, a happy, safe, and prosperous new year. We are a small island developing nation in the Caribbean, and we consume annually about 19 terawatts per hour. Part is generated by fossil fuels. We have undertaken commitments in the Paris Agreement, however, and in this context, we're implementing our national policy to transform the energy matrix to renewable sources of energy and to guarantee energy efficiency and security. We're trying to reduce greenhouse gases too, and have managed to achieve some of our goals here. In the last few years, we have carried out investments in our country to reach these goals. We want to generate more renewable sources of energy. We want to increase environmental protection and energy efficiency. The United States has imposed an embargo, however, on Cuba, and this was done in these difficult times of the COVID-19 pandemic, and that means that there has been energy shortages and scarcity in our country, and this has affected our economy and our productivity. We don't have enough energy, really, to maintain and sustain our national energy systems, and we cannot meet all the needs of our population, including electricity needs. So this is an obstacle to the economic development of Cuba. Between January and July 2021, the damage was more than $136 million in the energy sector. We don't have the latest technology to generate electricity or energy either because of the embargo, and we don't have the financial resources. Chairman, the consumption structure in our country at the moment and the available technology and the results obtained on the basis of studies lead us to believe that the generation of renewable sources of energy might be 37% in the next few years. We want to install more than 3,000 megawatts of energy sources, renewable energy sources, especially photovoltaic. We also hope to further carry out governmental investment to produce more gigawatt hours of renewable energies. 2.5 million tons of fossil fuels might be eliminated, and we will also reduce the emissions of CO2 annually. At the end of 2021, we had installed 200 odd megawatts in solar banks in different areas of the country. We are trying to use renewable sources of energy as much as possible and use the technology available to us in order to do that. So we have had 4 solar plants, and we have had financial resources provided by the International Atomic Energy Agency and development banks, and this has helped us implement some of our plans and projects, and we have increased the generation of electricity by renewables because of this. This has benefited greatly, socially speaking, our country. The per capita consumption is a small fraction of the consumption in developed countries. In Latin America, we have many millions of people who are not connected to the grid. Our president at the United Nations has said that there won't be any solution to this because this affects the development of the most needy countries and the most needy people, countries which have to satisfy the needs as far as consumption of foodstuffs for our people. So we hope to achieve sustainable development in the future. We're fighting for that. We have mechanisms which will allow us to improve energy efficiency and increase consumption. We want integral clean energy solutions, and for that we need to multiply our efforts. For this, we need to continue working with other programs and other agencies in order to achieve sustainable development and with public and private partnerships. IRENA and other entities have helped us financially. They have helped us transfer know-how as well, and they've helped developing countries such as ours when it comes to achieving the necessary resources to invest in renewable sources of energy. So we would like to thank IRENA and the Abu Dhabi Development Fund for their help to meet energy challenges. We have worked together, and we have managed to provide clean, low-cost energy on the basis of hydroelectric. We have solar energy as well, and we have wind energy too, and we want to improve the use of biomass. Mr. Chairman, we want to change our energy matrix, our energy mix. We want through integral actions, including the environment. We want to achieve 37% use of renewables in national electric generation by 2030. And we want to cooperate with other entities to do that. We want to eliminate fossil fuels from our national energy mix and mitigate the effects on climate change. We would like to say that we are in favor of implementing Agenda 2030 when it comes to sustainable development. We will do what we can to comply with SDGs, especially SDG 7, and we want to strengthen international cooperation. I think that this will help us, and we can all jointly meet the challenges that face us. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Cuba. And now the next speaker, Republic of Korea, Ms. Hae Min-young, Deputy Director General for Climate Change, Energy, Environmental and Scientific Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Let me begin by congratulating El Salvador for assuming the presidency of this year's assembly. I also would like to thank Director General Dr. Lacamera and his team for making excellent arrangement for the assembly in a virtual format. I'm very pleased to join this meeting and speak on behalf of the Republic of Korea. In 2021, despite the lingering effects of the COVID-19, the international community has made good progress in decarbonization and energy transition. Many countries announced their commitment to energy transition during the UN high-level dialogue on energy. At the COP26, we have succeeded in keeping the 1.5 degrees goal alive by announcing enhanced NDCs. IRENA has been at the center of our collaborative efforts for energy transition to tackle the climate change. We would like to commend IRENA for its effective implementation of the work program 2020 to 2021, including the publication of significant reports under the challenging circumstances. We would like to note that IRENA identified the 6 core components for energy transition, that is electrification, energy efficiency, renewables, green hydrogen, carbon capture, and biomass in the World Energy Transition Outlook. The Republic of Korea is pushing forward an energy transition in order to achieve our ambitious enhanced NDC and has released the Energy Carbon Neutrality Innovation Strategy last December, which also reflects the core 6 components from the World Energy Transition Outlook. We believe that it will contribute to achieving our NDC and 2050 carbon neutrality goal. In addition, IRENA has promoted cooperation among member states for the use of renewable energy through the collaborative frameworks. We would like to congratulate on the launch of the report, Geopolitics of Energy Transformation, the Hydrogen Factor. Acknowledging the important role of hydrogen in energy transition, the Republic of Korea has introduced the first basic plan for hydrogen economy last November. We'll actively cooperate with IRENA for the development of the hydrogen economy. The Republic of Korea also welcomes the work program for 2022 to 2023 and looks forward to the regional energy transition outlooks. We also support the project for structural changes in particular. The international community should make efforts to leave no one behind during the energy transition. In order to achieve equitable and inclusive green transition, the Korean government is working to fill the energy access gaps by legislating the Energy Transition Support Law and by designating special areas for just transition. We hope we can share our policies and experiences with other members of the IRENA in the near future. Last but not least, we are pleased to announce that the Republic of Korea is joining the Energy Compact on Renewable Energy in Peacekeeping, which was proposed by IRENA, the UN, and several member states. As an active member of UN peacekeeping operations and the host country of the 2021 Seoul UN Peacekeeping Ministerial, the Republic of Korea supports the promotion of the use of renewable energy by the UN peacekeeping missions. We also encourage other members to join us. Despite the COVID-19 situation, efforts to combat climate change should not be compromised. In 2022, the Republic of Korea will remain active in pursuit of energy transition while strengthening our cooperation with IRENA and with other members. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Republic of Korea. And now, if you please, let me deliver the intervention of my country, Egypt. Excellencies, distinguished attendees, I would like to express my appreciation to International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, and the government of United Arab Emirates for its effort made to host and organize this assembly under the harsh of Corona pandemic. Also, I would like to thank the agency of its efforts to enhance renewable energy deployment all over the world under the current hard circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, the energy transition will be enabled by significant reduction in costs of produced energy from renewable and storage technologies, shift from centralized to decentralized of electricity generation, regional and international interconnection to take advantage of all forms of renewable energy. Policy framework Do you hear me clearly now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, there are about 570 million people in sub-Saharan Africa not have access to electricity and modern energy services, and more than 900 million people on the African continent rely on traditional use of biomass, such as charcoal and firewood, as their primary source of energy for cooking. Therefore, the just transition to a green economy must be pursued by all countries and societies to supply our African brothers with modern energy services which are affordable, reliable, available. The African continent includes multiple treasures of human labor, minerals, oil and gas. Africa has the largest arable area in the world, and it has countless tropical forests. But most of these treasures have been not exploited yet. Therefore, we still have a great opportunity to achieve the prosperity of the African people, and that luxury can be achieved through proper planning. The long-term strategic planning of infrastructure projects for the African continent is a big step forward, and many efforts on the continent need to be enhanced, refined, and combined for an integrated vision of our continent, which is the cradle of humanity. To build this future, the continent needs a lot of support from developed countries, such as adequate resource mobilization, technology transfer, and qualified youth cadres who understand the extent of the next challenge, and lead project of an integrated development using effective means in spreading the deployment. Thinking on the largest possible scale, we will not forget the women rule towards sustainable infrastructure, where their role is very vital in the transition to green economy in our beautiful African country. Ladies and gentlemen, Egypt is rich in renewable energy resources, especially wind and solar, that qualify it to be one of the major renewable energy producers. There is about 7,650 kilometers square have been allocated for implementing renewable energy projects with expected potential of 35 gigawatts from wind energy and 55 gigawatts from solar. To utilize this potential, an integrated sustainable energy strategy for 2035 was approved, in which the share of the renewable energy in the energy mix will reach 42% by 2035. And now we are reviewing and updating our strategy by excluding the coal and replacing its capacity with renewable energy sources. To achieve our ambitious vision in utilizing the renewable energy resources, a lot of procedures have been taken and incentives offered to encourage private sector participation in the energy sector projects. The private investment will play a major role in achieving our targets. The most important step was legislative amendment that has done to encourage private sector to invest in power sector projects, especially renewable energy. In addition, the government has adopted a feed-in tariff program which succeeded to attract 32 international and local investors to implement Pemban solar power projects, the largest one in the Middle East and Africa, located in one place in Aswan with total capacity 1,465 megawatts. The project won the best project prize awarded by the World Bank. A result of these actions, a great number of investors became confident in the Egyptian energy sector. Foreign and domestic investors have been encouraged to invest in the sector projects. The latest price we got under the BEO scheme are less than $2 cents per kilowatt hour for solar and less than $3 cents per kilowatt hour for wind. Ladies and gentlemen, recently we are working in different technologies that will help us in our energy transition ways as waste to energy, e-mobility, smart grid, water desalination, by using renewable energy and energy storage, in addition to clean hydrogen, where a lot of measures have been taken to develop hydrogen in energy. With these, we are now taking the necessary arrangements to conducting the national hydrogen strategy. In addition, a number of other companies have submitted offers for cooperation regarding the production of green hydrogen that are currently being studied. Ladies and gentlemen, Egypt, on behalf of the African continent, will host COP27 conference. In this regard, Egypt will work to complete the continuous efforts to achieve the goals of Paris Agreement, taking into consideration the special circumstances of developing countries, in particular the most vulnerable countries by the effects of climate change. Egypt's vision in COP27 is simply, let us move to implementation of the existing pledges, plans, and strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, the global change confirms that any country alone cannot face the new challenges and cannot secure its own energy sources. So there is a need to increase the cooperation among all countries and regional communities through technology transfer, exchange experiences, and enhancing regional markets. The regional integration is one of the fundamental pillars of sustainable development in the long term. We just need to work together in order to create a conducive environment for the achievement of sustainable development and exploiting the win-win opportunities for regional and international cooperation. IRENA is an important international platform that supports countries in their transition to a sustainable energy future. Egypt has strong relations with IRENA since the agency initiation. We affirm that we will continue to cooperate with the agency in all energy aspects. Finally, I want to seize this momentum to assure that we need a series of policy interventions in order to enable a transition in which no one is left behind. A just and inclusive transition requires a global impact among countries, adequate resource mobilization, and measures tailored to the challenges various countries face. I am sure that our meeting today will help enhancing cooperation towards renewable energy and energy efficiency all over the world. Yes, the challenges facing renewable energy are big, but the opportunities are promising, and together we can. Thank you very much. Thank you for all, and now I will hand over to Vice President of the 12th Assembly, Minister, His Excellency Minister Molouine Joseph, for continuation of member interventions. Thank you for all.
Well, thank you, Dr. Mohammed Sheikh El Makabi, for your excellent handling of the session, the first session. Let me also recognize the President, Her Excellency Mr. Alexandra Hill Tunoko, for her opening remarks that set an important tone and established the urgency of the work we do today. I'd also like to thank the Director General of IRENA, Mr. Francisco Lacamera, for the work he has been doing over the years and for his contribution during COP26. It is obvious that we are at a crucial stage in our global response to climate change. From listening to previous speakers, it is obvious that the element of urgency still exists, and we must use our time effectively to advance the cause of fighting climate change and be able to point to some successes for COP27. It is my honor to serve in this capacity as Vice President, and I look forward to the interventions of the other speakers, and that these interventions might keep us on track, identifying the crucial issues. I have heard some of the comments in previous comments made by some developing countries, and it is clearly obvious that we need to ramp up ambitions. I listened to the developing countries' contributions, and it appears that there are opportunities for decisive decisions and actions so that we can achieve some success and be able to point to the material successes before COP27. In this regard, I would now like to invite the first speaker in this continued session, Mr. Eli Jadira Bala, Director General at the Energy Commission of Nigeria. I give you the floor.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes, sir. Your Excellencies.
We can hear you. Okay. Yes, proceed. We can hear you.
Your Excellencies, on behalf of the head of the Nigerian delegation to the 12th session of the IRENA Assembly, Dr. Obonaya Onu, who is the Minister of Science, Technology, and Innovation. We congratulate El Salvador as the President, and Antigua and Barbuda, Bangladesh, Egypt, and Greece as Vice Presidents of this 12th Assembly. We also commend and appreciate the preceding leadership of the Assembly under Spain. The Secretariat, under the leadership of the Director General, Dr. Francisco La Camara, is also commended for the hard work and dedication put in before and during the organization of this 12th Assembly, despite the challenges of COVID-19. Your Excellencies, Nigeria is a victim of the negative impact of climate change through the drying up of the Lake Chad, desertification, and coastal flooding with concomitant socio-economic challenges. During COP26, Nigeria pledged commitment to 20% emission reduction unconditionally and 47% conditionally. Energy being an essential agent for development has necessitated Nigeria to be committed to its energy security and bridging its energy access deficiencies through the least cost options available from its energy resources with the active participation of the private sector. Also, as a pioneer member of IRENA, Nigeria, under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, is committed to a just and inclusive energy transition. Therefore, as Nigeria walks the talk towards energy transition through renewables and energy efficiency and conservation to net zero emissions by 2060, its natural gas endowment will continue to play a greater role as transition fuel for electricity generation, transportation, heating and cooling, as well as cooking. Biofuels, which is a carbon neutral fuel and also links agriculture and energy industries, coupled with its great potentials for employment of large unemployed youth, is also given adequate attention. Nigeria acknowledges the support of IRENA on the review of its NDCs prior to COP26, the production of 2019 annual energy balance, as well as the ongoing REMAP study. We look forward to the speedy finalization of the REMAP study by IRENA. Finally, Your Excellencies, while we convey Nigeria's continued support to and participation in IRENA's activities, we once again congratulate the President of the 12th Assembly and the Director General for the successful assembly, and we wish Your Excellencies more fruitful deliberations. Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and for highlighting the importance of IRENA as we transition into renewable energy. That point is well made, and it is clear that as we assemble here today, we all are of the view that IRENA is pivotal in us being able to advance the fight against climate change and global warming. I now take the pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Nalo Castro, Deputy Minister of Costa Rica. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me first thank and congratulate our Executive Director, Francesco La Camara, for his work during this year and his report given yesterday. Also to IRENA for organizing this assembly under the circumstances. Costa Rica congratulates El Salvador for his presidency and the other vice presidents. We were honored to be vice president of the General Assembly during the last year. During 2021, Costa Rica continued his record of using generating renewable energy up to 99% for the 7th year in a row. We had a generation of 99.92% of renewable energy, and we are proud to do so. This is why we are also promoting the increment of renewable energy in Latin America and the Caribbean, and promoting, along with Colombia and Chile, the initiative called RELAC, that it's proud to have more than 12 members at the moment. But we believe that having a high share of renewable energy is not a goal in its own. We must also start to use this renewable grid to decarbonize our economy. And this is why we're making efforts to do so, promoting electric mobility, also the electrification of the industry, and also an economy of green hydrogen. And we are taking steps in order to do so. And we also want to thank IRENA for promoting green hydrogen in the world. Costa Rica will launch his national strategy early this year. And also in Congress, we have a bill to promote an economy of green hydrogen that is soon to be approved. But no matter that we have a high share of renewable energy, as we all know, also climate change represents a threat for grids like ours, who is based on hydroelectric power. So also we are making a lot of efforts to diversify our grid, and this is why we are also promoting other new alternatives, such as marine energy, offshore wind energy, and also we're promoting with a bill that soon will be in Congress, a bill to use the geothermal for other uses than producing electricity. We already have 15% of our matrix comes from geothermal, but we want also direct uses for the industry, for tourism, for agricultural uses, the direct use of geothermal heat. Also this year we host a congress in Costa Rica about hydroelectric power, a world congress, and we want also to thank the support of IRENA for this international congress. And also we've been working along with Switzerland in a group to promote green hydropower and sustainable use of hydropower in the world. Since this will be the last assembly that I will participate as Deputy Minister of Energy, I also want to thank IRENA for all his support during these 4 years, and also our embassy in the United Arab Emirates for his support along these 4 years. Thank you very much, and wish you a very successful assembly.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Castro, and thank you for sharing with us some vital development in Costa Rica, the aggressive program you have in transition, and also the fact that you've shared with us that legislation is being used as a tool of transition. That is extremely important for the policies of Costa Rica to be developed in terms of legislation and backed by legislation. I thank you very much for your intervention. I now call upon the next speaker, Mr. Vitaly Kreski, Deputy Chairman at the State Standardization Committee of Belarus. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Добрый день, я рад приветствовать от лица Республики Беларусь всех
Good
участников.
afternoon. I'm happy to greet the participants of this meeting on behalf of Belarus. We support energy transition and support of renewables in the energy systems of the countries through the widespread use of renewables, both in transport and agriculture, using the technologies for accumulating heat and electric power. This is very important when we are aiming at increasing the clean energy use. We have to optimize technologies and technical processes. It's very important to have a holistic approach to the savings of energy resources, providing universal access to energy resources, and in front of us, intellectual smart energy effectiveness is being established. 514 megawatt of installed capacities are used in our country, and we are planning to reach 700 megawatt of renewables by 2030. And in 2020, we used more or less 1.2 billion kilowatt hours of renewables in 2020, which is several-fold more than in 2014. We have very close relationship with IRENA in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic. 2020 and 2021 have been very important years for us. We organized an international workshop on the integration of renewables into the municipality energy grids, and we have also launched in Belarus a special report prepared by IRENA for Belarus, and the Francesca La Camera participated in that launch. Also, representatives of different international organizations were present, and our Minister of Energy is working actively on the use of varied fuel resources. Our goal is to reach SDG 7 provisions and goals, and on behalf of our Committee on Standardization of Belarus, I would like to thank Mr. Francesco La Camera for the fruitful cooperation that we've always had with him, for their energy and the support coming from IRENA. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kresge, Deputy Chair at the State Standardization Committee. Let me say to you, Mr. Kresge, that the ambition of Belarus is clearly an ambition that should inspire all of us. And I want to express my appreciation to you for your very insightful and informative presentation. It is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Marudulua Monga, Chief Executive Officer of IRENA, to take the floor. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Director General Francesco La Camera, Excellencies and Honorable Ministers, the Chairperson, Honorable Marwin Joseph, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. A very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of the Government of Mauritius and the Minister of Energy and Public Utilities, Honorable Georges Pierre-Lejonga, I am honored and delighted to join you here at the 12th IRENA Assembly for one single and timely purpose, and that is to address actions to accelerate the renewable energy integration in our energy mix and to strengthen climate resilience globally and particularly in small island developing states. First of all, I would like to thank IRENA for its contribution and efforts in moving forward renewable energy in the critical period where there is an urgent need to tackle climate change. In fact, COP26 has highlighted the negative impacts that small island developing states are experiencing from climate change, even if they contribute negligibly to the global climate greenhouse emissions. Mauritius, a small island state in the Indian Ocean, is already witnessing the consequences of climate change with a rapid rise in seawater level. SIDS are commonly described as a hotspot of climate change, and as such, Mauritius had to take a stand. I can proudly state that the government of Mauritius has long realized the importance of renewable energy as a mitigation measure and took actions to further its deployment in Mauritius. Of note, the government of Mauritius created an agency dedicated for the promotion and development of renewable energy called the IRENA and set up regulatory framework through the establishment of the Utility Regulatory Authority. It has recently reviewed its renewable energy target from an ambitious 40% to 60% in the energy mix, along with the announcement of a total coal phase out by 2030. These measures have listed in the country's NDC in order to reduce its GHG emission by 40% by 2030. However, these measures will require consequential investment and technical expertise to shape, and the urgency for global collaborative cohesion to mobilize funds and technological expertise for SIDS to make them more resilient in the face of climate change. In fact, SIDS contribute minimally to the GHG emission, but are facing most of the impacts. It is reasonable to say that it is unfair for SIDS to pay the price for uncontrolled GHG emission by the developed countries. Hence, there is the need for SIDS to be empowered through climate financing in terms of grants, technological support, exchange of knowledge, and best practices. As such, it is important for Mauritius as well as other SIDS to have an integral roadmap along with the assistance of IRENA to encompass all sectors, including energy and transport, and align with their NDCs. Mauritius, like other SIDS, we need to make the most of our resources. We are scarce of land. However, we do have large exclusive economic zones that are maritime areas. As such, offshore projects such as offshore wind, tidal wave, as well as offshore floating PV have to be prioritized. Hence, it is essential to empower SIDS by capacity building, technological exchange, and expertise to develop pilot projects and expand these projects to greater potential urgently. To this, I thank you all. I thank IRENA and SIDS Lighthouse for their unswerving support and collaboration with Mauritius, and look forward to a more fruitful collaboration ahead in view of a greener future for all SIDS and other IRENA members in a collective action towards increasing the share of renewable energy globally.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I must say that your presentation clearly makes the strong case for SIDS that has been repeated time and time again. And you also made an important point of the importance of IRENA in the process of investment, and also the fact that all SIDS are faced with the same set of issues, and the importance of solidarity, making the case together, continue making your presence in the global arena is extremely important as we proceed to turn the clock back on the advancement of global warming. Let me now take the opportunity to invite the next speaker of Comoros, His Excellency Mr. Ali Labora Musa, Minister of Energy. Your Excellency, you have the floor. Your Excellency, you have the floor. Well, let I now accommodate the presentation by Mr. Rafael Chiriboga, Permanent Representative of IRENA and Ambassador of Ecuador to Egypt. I now turn the floor over to His Excellency, Mr. Chiriboga, for his presentation.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. En primer lugar, permítame felicitarle a usted, así como a la señora presidenta y a todos los
Thank
miembros.
you, President. I'd like to thank all of the participants and thank you for allowing us to speak to you. We'd like to thank the UAE and IRENA for putting this meeting together in spite of the current situation. Ecuador has committed to the Sustainable Development Objectives and the transition towards renewable energy to reduce the use of fossil fuels and to mitigate climate change. At COP26, Mr. Molasso, our president, called upon the states to continue to move towards this transition, to protect our environment and increase international finance and cooperation for this purpose. By 2021, we were at over 20,000 gigawatt-hour production, a large percent of which was based on renewables, mainly hydro. Nonetheless, our transition towards decarbonization requires investment in renewables in order to reduce 22.5% carbon emissions by 2025. At the moment, we're only at 0.18%. To go with this, the government has increased our installed capacity to 500 megawatts with large amounts of investment from private investors. We have photovoltaic, wind and biomass projects underway in many parts of the country. But our electricity structure is going to need renewables in order to meet national demand. For this purpose, the government of Ecuador feels it's important that there be public and private investment in order to implement our projects, which will help to generate employment and help us to further produce clean energy, to have an environmentally friendly production structure. Our government seeks to reinforce investor confidence in Ecuador through legal frameworks and transparent policies with all the possible instruments that will allow us to incentivize this type of project to be environmentally friendly. We have a number of initiatives in place to achieve energy efficiency in the sectors of residential consumption, as well as transport and others. And we also seek to find other alternatives to diesel fuel, and we're looking to enable industries to reduce their energy consumption. Ecuador fully supports IRENA's actions and thanks them likewise for their support for our projects in renewable energies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And thank you for highlighting the opportunities that can be realized through private and public partnership as we work towards transitioning from fossil fuel and other fuels to renewable energy. I would like now to take the opportunity to invite His Excellency Ibrahim Silla, Permanent Representative to IRENA and Ambassador to Senegal to the UAE. Your Excellency, I invite you to take the floor. Excellency of Senegal, you're invited to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like, first of all, to thank and to congratulate the President of our GA, Salvador, Bangladesh, and Egypt, and the Secretariat of IRENA for the well-organization of our current GA. I am pleased also to note that country members like Senegal are willing to support IRENA in terms of enhancing the strategic axis in terms of access to energy, energy security, and energy transition, which correspond to the priorities set out in the energy sector in Senegal from 2019 from 2013 to 2023. Indeed, the government of Senegal aims to achieve the universal access to electricity by 2025 in order to meet the Goal 7 of the Sustainable Development Goals. And in 2020, the national electrification rate was increased to more than 78%, with a share of renewable of 32% from all sources combined, like solar, wind, and hydroelectricity. I think that the increase in the share of renewable energy in national production has materialized thanks in particular to a dozen photovoltaic solar power plants installed in the wind power plant with a capacity of 150 megawatts. And this effort reflects the will of the government of Senegal to take part in the global strategy to mitigate and combat the effect of climate change in all sectors of activity. Mr. President, I would like to take this opportunity also to recall the importance of enhanced cooperation between all actors, public, private, NGO, civil society, in favor of the energy transition and innovative and accessible bilateral and multilateral financing mechanism. These mechanisms must be adjustable and rapidly mobilizable in the context of the energy transition. However, the challenges are not exclusively economic and financial. And in this regard, I would like to echo the declaration made by our distinguished participant from Ghana on the necessity of having a good balance between our needs for sustainable economic development in Africa and the preservation of environment, taking into account the climate change challenge. During the last COP26, our president, His Excellency Macky Sall also, he raised the importance of having a good balance and to reaffirm the interests of the African continent. I think it's very important to focus on this issue because, of course, we welcome yesterday's the publication of the report by the Director General of IRENA and the African Development Bank entitled Renewable Energy Market Analysis, Africa and its Region. I think this report emphasizes mainly on the benefits we can have for the energy transition. But still today, we are not talking about the cost of that. And from certain survey, I think we are talking about 12 trillion US dollar. And we are not talking about the cost of the green fund for the climate, which we should be at least at 100 million US dollar per year. So how we can match it? So I don't think that we need to emphasize for the African continent and for the developing countries, of course, to achieve the goal of the energy transition, to mitigate the climate change, and in the same time, not talking about the means or the tools to achieve this goal. And it's very important for the African continent. And finally, I would like to reaffirm Senegal's renewed commitment to IRENA, whose creation is essential and critical in the light of the global change related to the energy transition in the context of a fair, equitable, and inclusive process. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you, Your Excellency. And I now give the floor to Mr. George Particides, Industrial Extension Officer at the Ministry of Energy, Commerce and Industry of Cyprus. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Dear Chair, dear Director General, dear Excellencies, thank you very much for giving me the floor. It is my pleasure to deliver the speech for the Cyprus government. Cyprus is grateful for the high percentage of activities that the IRENA accomplished. More analytical work is essential for a more sustainable future and collaborative frameworks. The outstanding quality of its recent publications and the prompt support on special advanced tools such as Flex tool is significant for small isolated islands. Analytical studies and new methodologies can lead to an essential increase of renewable energy penetration with a minimal cost. Cyprus would also like to welcome IRENA's World Energy Transition Outlook that shows that over 90% of the solutions shaping successful decarbonization of the energy sector by 2050 involve renewable energy through direct supply electrification, energy efficiency, green energy, and bioenergy. Cyprus has exceeded the target of 2020 by introducing correct measures and methodologies by more than 30%. We have exceeded the target by 4% instead of 13%. Cyprus has achieved 17% of renewables. New support schemes with 9,000 euros per electric car received 10 times more applications than the available budget this year. This provides an excellent signal for the transport sector, where it's the only one that lags behind the targets, and the investment of private sector is essential, as it will require an amount of about 1.4 billion euros to additional funds for investments up to 2030. It is very important for Cyprus to find ways and methods to mobilize private funding. Due to the economies of scale of small islands, the increase of the local funding tools and development specialized training programs can help Cyprus towards the green transition. The Cyprus government has developed various support schemes, incentives, and soft measures over the past years to further support the renewable energy sources penetration, especially in the electricity sector, where the penetration was low in the beginning. Many support schemes have been developed and welcomed from the investors. Furthermore, Cyprus still holds the leading place in solar water heaters, as you see on my background, installation for hot water use, having a penetration of more than 90%. Thus, further research and development is expected in solar heating and cooling and desalination using solar energy, but also geothermal energy. Concentrated solar thermal can provide the baseload technology in the years to come for net zero emissions, while other technologies such as renewable hydrogen and other storage technologies will play an essential role towards this direction, since Cyprus can be a gateway of renewable hydrogen, exploring further pipelines, hydrogen-ready receiving terminals, and exporting it to other neighboring countries. In the long program ahead, the following measures are ongoing for the energy transition in Cyprus. The liberalization of the electricity markets, which is expected by the end of this year. The update of the existing framework and support schemes of RES energy self-consumers. The support of the development of local energy and RES energy communities. The support of low-income and vulnerable consumers. Our grants go up to 80%. The introduction of financial measures for energy storage, as well as the flexibility and demand response schemes. Energy sector integration and electrification of hard-to-decarbonize sectors should be at the core of the energy strategy for climate neutrality. It is important to accelerate energy integration and maximize sectoral synergies in favor of technologies and applications that emit less carbon dioxide. A more integrated system needs to be a multi-directional system in which consumers play an active role. For example, energy customers exchanging renewable electricity or heat in smart grids or district heating and cooling systems, vehicle-to-grid services for feeding in the electricity that they produce individually as a part of energy communities. In closing, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to IRENA and UAE for all the support and collaboration and for hosting this meeting. All of the work provides inspirational and confidence for Cyprus to realize a more sustainable and resilient future. Thank you very much for your efforts.
And thank you, Your Excellency, for your comprehensive intervention. I now turn the floor over to the Honorable Pampa Busal, Minister of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation of Nepal. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and namaste from Nepal. On behalf of the government of Nepal, I am pleased to address the Assembly of IRENA. I wish to congratulate IRENA for providing this platform for member states to make deliberations into the matter of prime importance to ensure that commitments are transformed into action as we face challenges of COVID-19 and its emerging variant. Nepal is pleased to have a fruitful partnership with IRENA, and I look forward to even stronger collaboration in the future. I also wish to congratulate the fellow member state Egypt, and United Arab Emirates for being selected as the host countries for the COP27 and 28, respectively. Ladies and gentlemen, Nepal is among the most vulnerable nations to climate change, with the country's fragile topography, climate sensitive livelihood of the people, and their limited adaptive capacity. As a least developed country with an insignificant contribution to the past and current global emissions, we recognize that to meet the 1.5 degree temperature goal, all countries need to undertake ambitious mitigation actions. Energy plays a pivotal role in nations' economic growth. Energy is prevalent in agriculture, transportation, industries, and commercial and residential sectors. However, Nepal relies heavily on traditional resources and imported fossil fuels to meet its energy demand. The dependence on fossil fuel import has not only widened the trade deficit, but has also made Nepal very susceptible to the risk of energy security. Ladies and gentlemen, Nepal submitted its second national determined contribution in December 2020, depositing its ambitious target for the next decade to mitigate emissions and increase resilience of vulnerable people. Among various targets, the second NDC of Nepal aims to expand clean energy generations to 15,000 megawatt, of which 5 to 10% will be generated from mini and micro hydropower, solar, wind, and bioenergy by 2030. Electric vehicles are another priority. Likewise, residential cooking has been prioritized with target to reach 25% of households using electric stoves by 2030. Furthermore, with our long-term strategy for net zero emissions, Nepal is committed to accelerating climate action with the goal to achieve net zero emissions by 2045. Nepal would also like to gain recognition for its mitigations contributions beyond its border through clean energy trade. It is to be noted that Nepal's largest available renewable energy resource is hydropower. There is also great potential for harnessing solar energy in Nepal. The government of Nepal has a strong commitment towards the renewable energy sector. Since 1996, Alternative Energy Promotion Center, the national agency mandated on renewable energy and energy efficiency, has been dedicating its efforts in the development and promotion of renewable energy and energy efficiency in Nepal. The agency has made Nepal proud as the first direct access entity from Nepal accredited to the Green Climate Fund, and recently $21 million grant has been approved for our project on modern, efficient, and climate-friendly clean cooking solutions. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, it is to be noted that the targets set by the second NDC of Nepal are mostly conditional and contingent upon mobilization of external resources. The cost of achieving Nepal's NDC conditional mitigation target is estimated to be $25 billion. The cost of achieving unconditional target outlined in the NDC is estimated to be $3.4 billion, and this estimate only covers activity-based targets without including the cost of policies, measure, and action. Nepal needs financial and technical assistance for implementing innovative and cost-effective approaches for scaling up the clean energy projects in the country for climate change mitigation and adaptation while ensuring just and inclusive energy transition. Today, I take this opportunity to invite you all to invest in the renewable energy sector of Nepal and join hands for mutually beneficial economic partnership Finally, I wish the Assembly a great success and hope for further cooperation in the renewable energy sector development in Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for outlining Nepal's contribution. And I now turn the floor to His Excellency Bernardo Zian of Algeria, Minister of Energy, Transition and Renewable Energies. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
السيد المدير العام للوكالة، السادة رؤساء الوفود، سيداتي سادتي، إنه لمن دواعي سروري أن أتواجد معكم بمناسبة انعقاد الدورة 12 للوكالة العامة للجمعية العامة للوكالة الدولية للطاقات المتجددة إيرينا، التي ساهمت منذ إنشائها في ترقية وتطوير الطاقة المتجددة على الصعيدين الدولي والإقليمي، وذلك من خلال إعداد التقارير الدورية وإجراء الدراسات المستهدفة. سيداتي وسادتي، العلم إن الجزائر قد أدرجت الانتقال الطاقوي ضمن أولوياتها بفضل التزامات برنامج السيد رئيس الجمهورية كضرورة وخيار استراتيجي، حيث كرست هذه الإرادة من خلال إنشاء وزارة الانتقال الطاقوي والطاقات المتجددة. إن التحديات الراهنة وضعت الجزائر أمام تحديات، منها تنويع مصادر الطاقة بهدف التحرر التدريجي من الاعتماد على المحروقات وضمان الأمن الطاقوي للأجيال القادمة. من المعلوم أننا نتقاسم مع كل الدول المشاركة هدفا مشتركا فيما يخص الانتقال الطاقوي، فمصالحنا تلتقي لتعريف مسار يتماشى وتنويع مصادر الطاقة المتجددة. لقد وضعت الجزائر استراتيجية وطنية لتطوير الطاقات المتجددة في إطار الانتقال الطاقوي، تهدف إلى تركيب قدرة إجمالية تبلغ 15,000 ميجاوات بآفاق 2035، وهذا من شأنه رفع حصة الطاقة المتجددة في المزيج الطاقوي إلى 30% بآفاق 2030. وفي هذا الصدد فقد أطلقت وزارة الانتقال الطاقوي والطاقات المتجددة مؤخرا مناقصة لإنجاز 1000 ميجاوات من المحطات الشمسية الكهروضوئية بصيغة منتجي الكهرباء المستقلين IPP. أما فيما يخص شعبة الهيدروجين، فقد تم وضع خطة وطنية لتطوير الهيدروجين الأخضر، تتمثل أهدافها الاستراتيجية في تسريع الانتقال الطاقوي، استبدال الغاز الطبيعي بإنتاج الهيدروجين الأخضر، تنمية استخدامات المستدامة اقتصاديا في عدة قطاعات تشمل الصناعة والنقل والبناء وتخزين الطاقة وتحويل محطات الطاقة إلى الهيدروجين. سيداتي وسادتي، تستند الوكالة الدولية للطاقات المتجددة في عملها على إعداد خطة سيتم إنجازها.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are working in developing a plan that will be implemented in the period 2022-2023, using the 4 principles that were referred in the program, the working and for to the enhance and increasing the participation to accelerate the activities of the IRENA in order to intensify the plans to change the national energies to use the renewable energies according to the local legislations. According to the plans, we are changing the strategies in order to diversify energy sources, supported by having different resources according to national capacities, and to have in mind the known experiences of other countries to reduce CO2 emissions, and to have the climate change among the priorities and respecting all the needed legislations in order to reduce such emissions. We support activities of member countries in intensifying investments in renewable energy sectors, intensifying participation of private sector through PPP partnerships, and according to the President recommendations, we are anticipating such participation, and we will allow such partnerships between private and public sectors, and to have more assistance from other countries in the field. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end, I have full confidence of intensifying our participation in IRENA and cooperation with members in introducing more innovation in our sector, and hoping all the best.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for outlining what is a proactive response to transition. And I now turn the floor over to the next speaker, Her Excellency, Ms. Leila Benali, Minister for Energy, Transition, and Sustainable Development of Morocco.
Mrs. Chairwoman Alexandra Tinoco, Mr. General Director of IRENA, Francesco La Camera, Excellencies, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to address my sincere congratulations to all members of the International Renewable Energy Agency for holding this 12th session of IRENA's General Assembly. I would also like to thank Mr. Francesco La Camera for his leadership and his efforts to strengthen IRENA's missions and role in the benefit of sustainable development. I would like to reassure you of the continuous support of the Kingdom of Morocco to your activities, be it policy support, capacity building, or technology transfer. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in turbulent times when resilience and flexibility are bearing tremendous value, but that value will need to be monetized. It's not always monetized. A just transition refers to the principle of equity, a basis of the Paris Climate Agreement emulated during COP22 in Marrakesh and then at COP26 in Glasgow. Equity requires transition efforts to be differentiated according to the historical responsibilities, capacity to action, and vulnerabilities. The UNFCCC highlights that developing countries, particularly in Africa, have made the least historical contribution to greenhouse gas capital, while suffering the most from accelerating impacts of climate change. A just transition is therefore guided by the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities and capacities with regard to climate finance, technology transfer, and capacity building. The experience of Morocco in defining its new development model led us to redefine the valuation of natural capital, including land, for ambitious renewable projects, and that's for the well-being of the population and the environment. The experience of Morocco in defining its new development model led us also to put a value on sustainable development, a value on our natural capital, and a value on the environment. Ladies and gentlemen, despite our low responsibility in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, we have revised upwards our ambition in our nationally determined contribution. We aim at reducing our greenhouse gas emissions by 45% by 2030, and that's part of our integrated strategy for low carbon development by 2050. Our commitment to energy transition is first and foremost a voluntarist political choice made by His Majesty, the King Mohammed VI, may God assist him. So our energy policy is based on 3 pillars. Number 1, we want increasingly ambitious renewable energy and efficiency targets. Number 2, we want a consistent regional integration and energy diplomacy stance. And number 3, we want a transparent valuation process for the preservation of our environment and our natural capital. So today we have 50 renewable energy projects in operation in the country by more than 40 companies from 13 different countries. And we have more than 60 renewable projects under development. The cost of clean technologies like solar and wind in Morocco are competitive compared to conventional technologies and also compared to countries with similar potential. So even for CSP, At 15 cents per kilowatt hours in 2014, Morocco registered the price by far lower than the world's average of 24 cents per kilowatt hour. The then ambitious renewable targets generate challenges for the national electricity system and require the mobilization of flexibility means for storage, pump-in storage solutions, network reinforcement, smart grids, and also natural gas. Morocco was one of the first countries in the Mediterranean region to introduce pump-in storage with the Afourar station in the Atlas Mountains. That's a capacity of 460 megawatts. We have 2 other pump-in storage stations that are scheduled by 2030 with a total capacity of 600 megawatts. Our CSP projects in Ouarzazate use molten salt storage technology with a period ranging from 3 to 7 hours. And finally, increasing regional connectivity, be it electricity or gas, and getting beyond geopolitical tensions is another crucial form of flexibility to enable the development of renewable energy and a crucial form of North-South cooperation. As far as South-South cooperation is concerned, I will mention, for example, the Alliance for Access to Sustainable Energy Initiative co-created by Morocco and Ethiopia during the United Nations Climate Action Summit in New York in 2019. And that represents a real opportunity to generalize access to sustainable energy in Africa. So, ladies and gentlemen, a just and inclusive energy transition will not be actionable without putting a value on our natural capital and on the environment. The most available incentive today, given the size of the potential carbon market, is carbon pricing. For emerging economies like Morocco, determined to exceed our 52% of installed capacity based on competitive renewables, carbon pricing cannot just be a metric that one can tweak in a net zero roadmap model, even more so in an inflationary post-COVID recovery environment. The minute carbon pricing is used in an NDC discussion, it loses credibility primarily because of the asymmetric historic responsibility towards climate change that I mentioned earlier. So for carbon pricing to become a credible policy tool, allowing industry players to internalize the costs of the transition, it has to be just, it has to be inclusive, it has to be robust, and it has to be adapted. It cannot do all the economic work, but it can enable a level playing field competition. It can prevent idle infrastructure and value destruction, and it can send a clear policy signal to investors. So I'd like to call on the role of IRENA for further support to accelerate the progress of our energy transition by first helping us put a value on sustainable development and also support a coalition of what we call the middle intensity trap. Mrs. Chairwoman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the Kingdom of Morocco wishes to express its gratitude to the International Renewable Energy Agency for its support, the support it grants to its member states to carry out the programs related to the development of renewable energies and the financing of renewable energies. The strategic agreement that we signed with IRENA is a good example of this successful partnership. It aims to develop technological studies, to forecast market supplies, and to formulate models for public and private partnerships in the field of new and clean energies. I would like to thank you for your kind attention. Goodbye.
And thank you, Minister of Morocco, for sharing with us the increased ambition of Morocco, which should inspire all of us. I now turn the floor over to Her Excellency, Ms. Ilse Indrickson, the Parliamentary Secretary of the Ministry of Economics for Latvia. I now call upon the Minister to make or Parliamentary Secretary to make her intervention. You have the floor.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of Latvia is highly appreciative to the work undertaken by IRENA regarding the promotion, encouragement and development of usage to renewable energy as well as facilitating a timely, orderly, and transparent transition to a climate-neutral economy. In light of the upcoming and the present structural sectoral change envisaged both the production and consumption of energy, the Republic of Latvia had become a member of IRENA long-term energy scenarios. Initiative of the relevant conducted activities are considered to be of utmost importance in order to ensure an efficient modus operandi in the respective area. The Republic of Latvia had already successfully achieved a relative high share of renewable energy in its final energy consumption, amounting to 42.13% in 2020, according to the Eurostat provisional official data. In light of the above, it must be mentioned that the local use of coal is inimical to the most widely used fossil energy source in natural gas. Therefore, further improvements are possible to the amount of site natural gas volumes found in electricity generation and district heating sectors is reduced. Although the Republic of Latvia is full member of the European Union, the country may be classified as an upper middle income country dealing with a structural decrease in population. Most inhabitants are not yet in an economic position to afford new electric transportation personal vehicles. Furthermore, improvements in healthcare, education, and social program administration are a higher priority for the local society, and rapid transition to a zero net emission economy achieved by means of increased electrification will pose a major challenge for the Latvian economy. The Republic of Latvia is therefore interested in IRENA modeling tool to provide quantitative evaluation of sector coupling opportunities, especially in the largest domestic cities. It is therefore states that an utmost operations shall be extended of IRENA will consider paying a higher degree of attention to pathways, challenges and opportunities for upper middle income countries with limited financial and labor resources achieving their respective energy and climate goal, inter alia, in terms of facilitating private investment into fostering sustainable development and transitioning to a carbon neutral circular economy. On behalf of the government of the Republic of Latvia, I would like to extend a word of gratitude to IRENA for its effort in ensuring a better, more equal and sustainable future, and sincerely wish the Assembly a successful commencement of its endeavors and another productive operation year. Thank you.
And thank you, Latvia, for your presentation. My next speaker is the representative of Poland, the Undersecretary of State at the Ministry of Climate and Environment, Mr. Adam. I now pass the floor to the representative of Poland.
Dear Chairman, dear Director General, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is really an honor to be able to participate in today's discussion and bring Poland's perspective on supporting the energy transition. First of all, let me thank the Secretariat for the very swift shift to a virtual mode that enabled broad participation in this meeting. But let me also thank Francesco, our Director General, for his visit to Poland in December and his participation in the signing ceremony of the sector deal for the photovoltaic sector in Poland. And this is an approach that is unprecedented in a form of cooperation between administration and the stakeholders of the main renewable energy sectors in Poland, to which I will come back later on in my speech. But let me start with a few remarks on the Director General's annual report and the work program. We welcome the report and the way IRENA has shown flexibility in adapting its work, reacting to the COVID-19 crisis. And we also welcome the greater emphasis that is given on promoting renewable energy sources in sectors as transport, construction, and industry. Changes in these sectors has been slow so far, and additional input from IRENA will be very valuable to enable further change. In this context, I would like also to encourage IRENA to do more in the area of decarbonizing the gas sector and the use of biomethane, which we think will play a key role in Poland's energy transition. And IRENA's comments will be very valuable in providing appropriate solutions. We also welcome the increased emphasis on power system integration. We believe that this is a direction that needs to be continued. We are following very closely the recommendation in this respect. And this is why, for instance, we have introduced net billing for prosumers, which provides more flexibility to the power system. We hope that this change will enable further stable development of photovoltaics in Poland. And in this context, let me just remind how the share of renewable energy sources in Poland has been tremendously rising over the past few years. Renewable energy amounted to about 16.3 gigawatts of installed capacity at the end of 2021. We had 800,000 prosumers, that is up from barely 4,000 in 2015. And this is thanks to a number of measures that we introduced, that the share of renewable energy sources in Poland has reached in 2020 16.13%, and thus exceeding the target we had set for Poland of 15%. I would like to also emphasize that Poland undertakes further actions aimed at the development of renewable energy in order to achieve an even higher share of renewables in 2030. We will continue to support extensively the development of photovoltaic in households or heat pump installations. We also plan to develop offshore wind farms with 5.9 gigawatts of installed capacity by 2030 and 11 by 2040. A key in this transition will be the participation of all stakeholders. And this is why we have signed 4 sectoral agreements in 2021, beyond the one I mentioned at the beginning on photovoltaics. This included sectoral deals for offshore wind, hydrogen, and biogas and biomethane. And I believe that this type of action will not only increase the role of renewable energy sources in our energy mix, but will also bring a number of economic and social benefits that to which IRENA clearly points out in all of its analysis. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention.
Thank you very much. And my final speaker of the day is His Excellency Bento Albuquerque, State Minister of Mines and Energy from Brazil. I now invite you to take the floor to make your presentation.
Dear Director General of IRENA, my dear friend, Francesco La Câmara, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I expected to be in Abu Dhabi for this IRENA assembly. Once again, the pandemic has prevented us from meeting in person. But I must commend IRENA for rapidly adapting the assembly to a virtual format. Last year, we had the chance to share perspectives on how to ensure that the energy transition would be at the heart of our recovery efforts from the effects of COVID-19. Since then, we have structured Brazil's Fuel of the Future program and the National Hydrogen Program, 2 new ambitious policies with a long-term perspective that will foster additional decarbonization solutions and synergies with the other clean energy policies in place. The deployment of renewables is strong and accelerating in Brazil. Wind power was almost 50% of total additional installed capacity in 2021, having reached over 20 gigawatts in total. We are also moving forward with the regulatory framework for offshore winds. Distributed generation is also pushing renewables forward, mostly solar PV, but also biogas and small hydro. Solar grew from 4.8 to 8.7 gigawatts in 2021, and we have just approved a new legal framework for distributed generation that will provide security and predictability for those investing in this sector. To connect some of the most competitive and diverse renewables in the world, we need grids. This is why we continue to expand the enabling transmission infrastructure in a proactive transmission planning process. Transmission auctions have been very successful, and we already have studies and a plan to double interconnection capacity between North and South of Brazil, increasing the flexibility and the resilience of our national interconnected system. Dear Director General, let me repeat one thing I said last year, and I had the occasion to tell you in person last November when I visited IRENA. For 5 decades, renewables have been at the heart of Brazil's energy planning and policies. Having one of the highest shares of renewables in the world is not by chance. It is more than natural that we value the work done by IRENA and with IRENA. The agency has developed a comprehensive and inclusive perspective that we believe is key for a successful and just energy transition. We are now looking forward to collaborating with the agency on the REMAP South America project. I believe it is an opportunity to combine global and regional perspectives to increase the effectiveness of our policies and promote mutual understanding and collaboration. Thank you very much and wish of a very productive year for the agency.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your effective intervention. Before passing over the chair to the President, permit me to make a brief statement on behalf of Antigua and Barbuda as the Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment. My government embarked on a process of enhancing this climate ambition through an update process of our national determined contribution. This process was based on best available science and active stakeholder consultation to ensure further alignment of our policies and ambitions to this Paris Agreement's goals. I am pleased to announce 2 of these ambitious energy and e-mobility targets contained within our recently submitted NDC. They are 86% renewable energy generation from local resources in the electricity sector by 2030. And all new vehicle sales will be electric vehicles by 2030. It should be noted that this energy transition is no ordinary one. It is a socially inclusive one and with an accompanying just transition for our workforce, which remain the heart of this transition. Let me continue. This transition envisions the creation of new skill sets and enhancement of capabilities to strengthen this effort. Our ambitious plans to increase renewable energy generation will require us to expand workers' renewable energy capacity within the next decade. More specifically, our NDC has the following just transition targets. 100% of the affected parts of the national workforce are trained to use new mitigation technologies for a low greenhouse gas emissions transition by 2030. 50% increase in the number of micro, small, and medium enterprises that provide energy services aligned with the objectives of the Paris Agreement by 2030. Develop a gender-responsive approach to the just transition of the energy and construction sector by 2025. In a few weeks, we will inaugurate a hybrid solar system plant for 756 kilowatt power with a 750 kilowatt battery backup in our sister island, Barbuda. This was funded under the UAE Caribbean Renewable Energy Fund in partnership with the government of New Zealand and the United Arab Emirates, the CARICOM Development Fund. With our pioneer NDC, we hope to inspire other countries to be even more ambitious and innovative as we collectively tackle the problem of climate change. I am delighted to have presented this intervention, and I now, colleagues, turn over the chairmanship to the President of the Assembly, Her Excellency, Ms. Alexandra Hill Tinoco, Minister of Foreign Affairs of El Salvador. It was a pleasure and an honor to serve in this capacity.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. First of all, I would like to thank the Vice Presidents of Bangladesh, Antigua and Barbuda, and Egypt for their great support in presiding over member intervention on my behalf. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. I now invite our Director General to address the issues raised under this item and provide overall reflections. Mr. Director General, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. Thank you for the rich and insightful conversation over the past 2 days. We are grateful for your strong support for IRENA's work, and I've taken careful note of your guidance for the coming biennium and beyond. Your feedback reflects the centrality of IRENA's mission for the achievement of the global development and climate agenda. But this feedback also demonstrated your commitment to and the strong sense of ownership of the agency. It is our greatest asset, and we will continue to focus on enabling active and regular engagement with our members. The message of the necessity for analytical excellences and practical action was clear, and was the call to be agile and responsive to our members' needs. We know how quickly and dramatically the condition may change. We have witnessed it even during the weekend. So let me express all our thoughts that are with the people of Tonga and others affected in the Pacific region in the aftermath of the volcanic eruption and tsunami. We have an ambitious agenda set out in the work program. We will rely on the guidance provided by the Assembly as we operationalize this agenda in the coming weeks. Thank you for the generosity of inputs, and we look forward to working with all of you as we move from commitment to action. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, and back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Director General. Do I take it that the Assembly